Well, hey, it's like the Department of Labor has OSHA knocking on your door. That's what we need to understand in this town. Our next speaker is setting up right now. See, I'm learning something. I give the speaker time to set up. I'm sharing just one VJ. Our next speaker came all the way from Boston, working on a game franchise that we probably all know called Rock Band. And he came to Texas in the middle of summer to go to work at Twisted Pixel. Dan Teasdale.
I'm one of those people that needs to write down what they're going to say, otherwise I'll be here for 40 minutes. So hi, and thanks for coming out. So John invited me to this Microtalk this evening, which is pretty awesome. Usually when I do stuff like this, I talk about stuff I'm working on. But the title I'm working on, Twisted Pixel, isn't announced yet, so I can't talk about that. And I can't talk about Rock Band 3 without going through Viacom and MTV and about 8 different lawyers. So I want to talk about something else that's been on my mind for a little bit. And that's why games are still awesome. Why we aren't all going to die. So a bit of backstory. My 30-second life story is pretty simple. Like most people, I got my start making some pretty embarrassing games to get my foot in the door. Yes, like an anonymous game. Working on those games gave me the chance to work on some games that are actually pretty cool and I'm pretty proud of. And then working on those games got me my shot at moving to the US and working on the Rock Band series. So I was thinking about what I wanted to do after Rock Band 3, and I realized I wanted to try something new and kind of different. So I built a checklist of what I needed in a dream job. So making innovative games, that was a no-brainer. But I also wanted to be hands-on again instead of a 300-person team. I wanted all the people I was working with to be superstars and to trust them. And I guess it kind of had to be like a decent city, maybe. So that gave me a pretty good shortlist. But Twisted Pixel really stood out as nailing all of those things and more. So I handed my resignation to Harmonix, finished up Rock Band 3, and then posted a quick thing up on my blog saying I was leaving and moving to Austin. So nearly everyone who applied was massively supportive, and it was a huge confidence boost and good reassurance I'd made the right decision. But as usual, there was one guy that was a total jerk. I'm not going to name him, but he's a really well-known recruiter who contacted me while I was looking to move on. After telling him that I was going to work at Twisted Pixel, he wrote
It wasn't me.
He wrote this big concerned letter and had some really amazing quotes in it. Like, you're moving to a small company that has games that don't look like they even score a 40 on Metacritic. Besides being a dumb way to look at games, also shows he doesn't know how to look at Metacritic. So there's a whole bunch of quotes like that, basically saying that big budget retail is the only path. But the quote that really pissed me off was this. He said, "By me moving to Austin, I will no longer be considered AAA talent." So the response I wanted to send him probably isn't safe. But you get the idea. So I just ignored him, I went on my life. But then Mikey Hacker posted this huge rant a few weeks later. And for those of you who didn't see it, his basic argument is that game sales went down in July by like 9% or something. And it's a trend, and it means the games industry is tanking and we're all going to lose our jobs and die. And the kicker on this piece was a section about how he thinks it can be solved, which basically boiled down to Activision needs to monetize Call of Duty to survive. And it was that line that bugged me specifically in the same place as that recruiter's email for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's because Activision has actually done a pretty good job of monetizing Call of Duty. And they've done it without being usual Activision evil as well. They sold 20 million map packs for Call of Duty, which if you estimate their cut is about $140 million. So think about that for a second, especially related to how much it probably costs to make Call of Duty in the first place. So I don't think anyone can argue that $140 million isn't successfully monetizing multiplayer, but it's the other way to take that quote that really bugged me. And that's basically this attitude that $140 million didn't count because they were downloads and they weren't real releases. It was a doubly sore point for me, even before I left Harmonix, because people were always claiming that Rock Band was losing money and that music games were dying, but they'd never taken into account our DLC sales. We've sold over 71 million songs online. Loads, ridiculous amounts of money, like enough to fund Rock Band 2, Rock Band 3, and like then some. However, every quarter, some analysts would make like a news article saying that because people were buying DLC and they weren't buying new games, the music game genre was hemorrhaging money and dying, and this just wasn't true. So, if we were making money, why did the analysts think we were dying? Well, the answer came to me thanks to the scorpion that came into my house. First of all, when I was looking at cities, no one told me I'd have to deal with scorpions in Austin. Anyway, so I saw this scorpion crawling across my living room floor, and I grabbed the biggest book I could find, which turned out to be Jurassic Park. And I squashed it. And then I was looking at the book later, and I remembered a section from it that kind of set off a light bulb for me. See, in the book, the InGen guys tracked dinosaur population by making sure that all of their dinosaurs were okay. If any of the dinosaurs died, an alarm would go off, and they'd panic, and they'd make new dinosaurs. But the alarm didn't tell them if they had more dinosaurs than they made. So the dinosaurs bred, they grew up, and hilarity ensues. But I think game analysts are making the same mistake. See, by default, analysts wait for NPDs to come out, they look at the numbers, and then they make a prediction about the health of the industry based on those numbers. They'll state stuff like, oh, July 2010 had 9% less sales than 2009, so we've got to man the lifeboats. But that's because they're only looking at the NPD reports for consoles and PCs. If they look at everything that's being sold on consoles and PCs, they'll find that sales just aren't being accounted for. Limbo is a great example. It's an Xbox Live Arcade title that outsold all but one retail game on the platform for the same time period. Trials HD DLC is another great example. It's downloadable content for a downloadable game, yet it sold more than nearly any other retail title in July. There's even higher examples. StarCraft 2 did 720,000 at retail, but they had 1.5 million activations on Blizzard's end in 2 days. So why did this all bug me? Well, the reason that recruiting email and Hacker's article bugged me is because they essentially inferred that because I moved down to Austin, I no longer exist in a way that should be cared about. And I think that's bullshit. And instead, different inference from that data. Because analysts aren't adapting to the marketplace, I don't think they're going to matter in a few years' time. When like a digital-only release on a single platform can get into the top 10 sales per month, this means this whole concept of digital being lesser content is just completely abandoned. Going even further, it means that these calls of the games industry is dying. It's about as valid as the music industry is dying a decade ago. Everyone was looking at CD sales plummeting, but they were ignoring things like iTunes downloads increasing because they didn't see it as a legitimately large source of income. Now, digital song downloads trump CD sales, and the music industry, for better and for worse, is still alive. But it's reasons like that that I'm excited not just to be working on a dream game of Twisted Pixel, but excited for the future of games. Like when a game like Limbo can be made, that's awesome. When it sells enough to get in the top 10, that's why we aren't going to die. When the future means I don't have to bend over backwards who sees their games based on the merits instead of their pre-order bonuses, that's why we're not going to die. Games are awesome. And because of that, we will not go quietly into that goodbye.
I'm told that he's from Australia. Everyone check your timepieces. Countdown 20 minutes from now, come back. Drinks? Yeah, 5 more.